Part 86. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 851. Chapter 851 I don't like women who are mentally retarded. Oh, Yuan understood. I was afraid that her son would not be able to reject them openly and try to explain away what they said. Dare to say it directly, this is really straightforward for twins, and Yuan still likes it? The key is what the sons mean. Yuan can't wait to ask them. When the twins saw that their goal was achieved, the two sisters looked at each other and knew that it was not convenient to stay here at this time, so they stood up and said goodbye to Yuan, leaving messages for each other before leaving. After the twins left, Yuan finally entered the space. In the space, the two brothers were sitting under the Wuodeo tea tree, drinking tea. Yuan went over and sat down directly. Dabeo poured her a cup of tea and placed it in front of her. Mother wants to ask us why we don't like them, right? Dabeo asked directly. Yuan took a sip of tea and nodded. Then tell me, if the twins really have character problems, I won't force them on you. Dabeo shook his head. It's not that there's anything wrong with their character, it's that the way they speak is too direct and they don't care about other people's feelings at all. This is purely brain dead. We don't like women with such brain deadness. Yuan thought about what Dabeo said. The twins' personalities were exactly what Dabeo said. In her eyes, they were straightforward, but in the eyes of the mature and steady Dabeo, they were stupid. Liangbao doesn't force her if she doesn't like her, just let it happen. If the two brats don't get married, the worst she can do is have another son with Mu Jukan. Fortunately, Mu Niangzhen got married and gave birth to a son, and now she has grandchildren. Otherwise, Mr. Mu would be worried about the prosperity of the Mu family and would urge the two to get married. Why? Yuan sighed. They don't want to succeed if they don't want to succeed. Yuan sighed again and sent them out of the space. Thinking that the twins could not become her daughter-in-law, Yuan felt very regretful. She asked Xiaoji to find where the twins were. Look at it, is it really what Liangbao said? Xiaoji quickly found the twins. At this time, the twins were in a temple, and there was a couple inside. They thought they were the twins' parents. 4 people sat around the table. There were only 4 of them in the palace, and all 4 of them were silent at the moment, seeming to be thinking about something. After a long while, they said, "Have you really made everything clear to that brother's mother?" Qinglian nodded, "Yes, Dad, I made everything clear." "Then why haven't we received any message?" Qinglian, "I guess the brothers don't like us. Their mother said that if the brothers don't like them, she won't interfere." The woman next to Qinglian said, "How about you find someone else?" The male said firmly, "No, just these 2 brothers, they have very strong luck." "Oh, by the way, Qinglian, how is their mother's luck?" Qinglian glanced at their mother and affirmed, "Their mother's luck is purple, which is stronger than the luck of Dabeo and Dabeo." The male also glanced at the woman, "That's them. I said at the beginning that their parents should be people with great luck, and that's why they have such strong luck. Find a way to contact their mother and son. Go ahead and find a way to take away their luck." The male said and gave each of the twins a formation and a jade bottle. "Put this away and put this on his body when they are not paying attention." "What about their mother?" Qinglian asked again. The male looked at the woman with a bad expression again and said, "The father will do it himself." The twins looked a little unhappy, so they took the things and left the shrine. Yuan was confused after hearing this. It turned out that this family was coveting her luck. She also regarded her as her future daughter-in-law. She was so confused that she luckily came to see her. Just what are they doing with their family's luck? Yuan had no choice but to continue listening. She wanted to know. A person's luck is too important to a cultivator. Taking away one's luck is no different from taking away a person's life. After the twins left, The male held the woman in his arms and said warmly, "Madam, there is no need to be angry. My husband just wants her luck, and he is not really his wife." "Humph, you liar, how can you take someone you don't want from her?" The woman snorted coldly and turned her head away, looking very angry. "Okay, don't be angry. We are all doing it for our son. Who asked you to give birth to a son of bad luck? Do you think our good family will be harmed by him? Let Qinglian and Suilian be implicated." The male said impatiently. "You can let your son do it by himself, why do you have to go by yourself?" The male shook the woman away and said coldly, "Your son is unconscious, how come he is here? If you don't save him, will you watch him die? I have never seen such a cruel mother like you, looking at your son. Go to hell." The woman bit her lip, lowered her head and sobbed. Yuan frowned when she heard this. This person wouldn't want to take away his luck from him, would he? This Yuan really didn't know how lucky she was. In ancient books, Yuan saw that there were ways to seize luck, usually using luck-stealing formations. The luck-seizing formation is too destructive and has long been lost. But Yuan just saw the formation disc that the male gave the twins, and she thought it was the luck-stealing formation. Thinking of the viciousness of this family, she became furious and destroyed the jade that was connected to the twins. "You bastard, you dare to plot against their mother and son." Yuan's eyes flashed, and she immediately took the couple to prison and locked them up. Then he found the twins and locked them in too. After doing this, she found an unconscious young man in the shrine. When Yuan was about to imprison him together, the voice of creation Qinglian sounded, "Bring him in." "What?" Yuan thought she was hallucinating. "I said bring him to see us." "Okay, why didn't she know that other people could enter her space, Redland?" "Okay," creation Qinglian said coldly. "You've lost your temper. I'll throw you out if you believe it or not." Yuan was also angry. He dared to act aggressively on her territory. Who gave him the confidence? "Shut up!" The purifying green lotus immediately shouted at the creation green lotus, and then said to Yuan warmly, "Bring that person in, that person has the aura of the world-destroying green lotus." "That's not bad, the little girl is still cute." Yuan took the unconscious young man into the red land and threw it in front of Jingxi Qinglian. Jingxi Qinglian and good fortune Qinglian suddenly changed, and two boys and a girl about 10 years old appeared. "Sorry to trouble you," Jingxi Qinglian said apologetically to Yuan. "It's very troublesome. I just hope you can leave my space as soon as possible," Yuan responded lightly. Jingxi Qinglian and Jingxi Qinglian's expressions changed. They only glanced at Yuan and then looked at the young man on the ground. I saw Jingxi Qinglian pinching it with both hands, and a divine power penetrated into the young man's body. After a while, the young man suddenly woke up. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 852. Chapter 852, Destroying the God of Turbidity. When Jingxi Qinglian saw the young man waking up, he immediately used a divine power to restrain him. The young man opened his eyes and looked at the three of them in confusion when he saw the creation Qinglian and Jingxi Qinglian. He asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Jingxi Qinglian asked him, "Why are you here? How did you take away human beings?" The young man said, "You are lucky if you catch me. If I don't do more, what will I do if I am sealed by you again?" After saying that, he turned to look at Yuan. His eyes were frighteningly sinister, and he said twice, "Little girl, I will remember you, but please don't fall into my hands. You will die then very miserable." Yuan's heart skipped a beat when she was stared at. She was threatened by this guy. "Mayday!" Yuan raised her foot and was about to kick it over. Snapped. Jingxi Qinglian slapped the young man first. "You dare to threaten people after you are like this? Do you really think there is nothing we can do to you? Don't beat him to death, I have something to ask him. Yuan missed the kick and felt uncomfortable, so she quickly stopped Jingxi Qinglian. Jingxi Qinglian took back her hand and said, if you ask, if he doesn't tell me, I will kill him immediately. Yuan nodded, walked to the young man and knelt down, looking at him. You told this body's father, mother, and sister the way to win people's luck, right? So what? The young man squinted at Yuan, not taking the little ant Yuan seriously at all. If he hadn't been unable to defeat the Green Lotus of Creation and the Green Lotus of Pure World, he would have sucked all the luck out of this little ant. What a pity, the young man stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. This little ant should be one of the children of luck in this interstellar. If he sucked in all the children of fate, he might survive and go to other stars. Yuan shook her head, I'm not that good, I just want to ask if you gave it to them. She is not as domineering as Pure World Green Lotus. She can do whatever she wants to anyone, even if she destroys world extinguishing Green Lotus, she can do it. She was thinking that it was a pity that the twins and their family were ruined by carrying this young man. Snapped. Jingxi Qinglian slapped him again, you piece of shit, you take away a person's body and also take away his luck. What do you think you, a stinky thing, do with your luck? How can you change anything? In this interstellar world it's almost ruined, don't you have any idea? The young man was so beaten that he was dizzy, but he didn't care. He chuckled at the Pure World Qinglian and the Good Fortune Qinglian, why don't you count? It's just that you have too many, so you want to take away people's bodies and luck, so you can see it with your own eyes, this interstellar destruction. Tisk, 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 what a pity, you create and I destroy, you see how interesting this is, but I won't have to watch it anymore. Jingxi Qinglian, you destroyed this star, can you still survive? The young ruffian smiled angrily, of course, otherwise I would use my luck to steal people's bodies, and you would all be dead, but I would still be there. You madman! Even Creation Qinglian couldn't bear it anymore, and he was so angry that he kicked the young man a few times. Kick it, this body doesn't belong to me anyway, you can kick it as you like. The young man looked like a dead pig that is not afraid of boiling water, and he vomited blood. Yuan was watching from the side and wanted to step in and kick him a few times, but she couldn't join in the game between the three of them. I was just thinking about the young man's words. He took away the human body and the destiny of mankind. How could he survive in this starry world, and where could he survive? Doesn't he know that wherever he exists, there is destruction? Yuan couldn't figure it out, so she watched the show on the side. The Good Fortune Qinglian and Pure World Qinglian tortured the young man enough, and then they destroyed the young man's soul, leaving the young man's body and throwing it into the red earth. After that, Jingxi Qinglian waved to Yuan, and Yuan went over. Jingxi Qinglian gave her a jade slip, take this, it contains the breath of Mixi Qinglian. Get familiar with it, in case you meet him split soul, you must run away immediately. Be careful not to meet him in person, he has a grudge against you, and it will be easy for him to do anything to you. After saying that, Jingxi Qinglian waved his hand and fired a burst of divine power into the space, and said to Yuan, with the protection of my divine power, this space can protect you, but you must stay out of this space, otherwise you will not be able to escape him no matter where you are tracking. After Yuan heard this, she felt that she was in trouble again. Her troubles were one after another, each one more serious than the last. She was still a weakling. Yuan sincerely thanked Jingxi Qinglian, glanced at Creation Qinglian, and left the red earth. The purifying green lotus is still somewhat useful, and it is so arrogant that it makes Yuan's eyes hurt. When she came to the training room, Yuan took out the jade slip given to her by the Pure World Green Lotus, firmly remembered the aura of the world-destroying Green Lotus, and then began to meditate and practice. In the days that followed, Yuan practiced while catching mutated creatures. 1,000 years passed in a flash. On this day, Yuan came to Red Land and found Jingxi Qinglian. I have something to ask you for help. You say. Over the past 1,000 years, both the green lotus of creation and the green lotus of pure world have recovered. Yuan is still thinking about the matter of the turbid god. After so many years, it is time to destroy it. It is a hidden danger if you keep it. No matter when the star is destroyed, but it is still so long before destruction, what should be destroyed must still be destroyed. So Yuan talked about Zhou Shen. You mean to ask me to purify the turbid god? Yes, that is a hidden danger. Once it comes out, its harm to the world of cultivation will be no less than that of the world destroying Qinglian. Although the scope of his destruction is not as wide as the world destroying Qinglian, he can continue to destroy each one. If he cannot be eliminated, all the creatures in this interstellar will be his puppets. Jingxi Qinglian nodded, okay, I'll go with you. She has no problem dealing with a turbulent god. Yuan immediately brought Jingxi Qinglian to the secret realm. It's right here. Yuan pointed to the seal. Okay, no problem, this hasn't become a thing yet. As Jingxi Qinglian said this, a barrier was formed. At the same time, she injects her divine power into the seal. Ah! What is here to mess with me again? Not long after, Zhuoxin's miserable scream came from under the seal. Humph! A stinking thing that has never grown up can be so rampant. Jingxi Qinglian's petite face was angry, her hands kept moving, and immediately several feet of colorful light flew into the seal. Yuan followed with her eyes. I saw that the turbid god's more than 10 feet big soul was surrounded by colorful light balls, and the colorful light penetrated the soul and made my heart feel cold. Wherever he passed, the black and gray soul of Zhou Shen dispersed. Soon, the soul was like a sieve, riddled with holes, and even the shouts of the Zhou Shen became weaker and weaker. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 853. Chapter 853. Meeting Ming Ao and his son. An hour later, Zhuoxin's soul was completely destroyed. When the soul was completely wiped out, the purifying green lotus caught the light ball that flew in and waved it towards the entire secret realm. In an instant, the entire secret realm was illuminated with colorful lights, dazzling and almost blinding people's eyes. When the light passed, Jingxi Qinglian pinched a few punches and took back the ball of light. She said calmly, "That's enough, there is no such thing as a turbulent in this world." Yuan cupped her hands toward Jingxi Qinglian and said, "Thank you very much." The little girl pursed her lips and said displeasedly, "We are still saying thank you. How unfamiliar we are." With the Zhou Shen gone, Yuan was in a good mood. He rubbed her head and said with a smile, "Yes, we are not strangers. We have supported you for so long, and we have long been your parents. Yeah, let's just call you mother from now on." Yuan was so frightened that she waved her hands repeatedly, "Forget it, I don't dare to be your mother." As for Qinglian's personality, which is like 258,000 yuan, she would rather live like this. The day they are willing to leave her space, she will be free. Yuan returned to the Tongxian realm to take a look at Mujukan. She had rarely returned in recent years and had been looking for mutated creatures and practicing. Probably the mutated creatures she destroyed were too brutal to attack the Tongxian realm. But Yuan knew that they would have to come sooner or later. They knew that the Tongxian world would be heavily guarded, and it would definitely not be as easy to take advantage of them as they did the previous time, when everyone had no defense. "The god of turbidity has been destroyed?" Mujukan asked. He was not surprised at all. After all, the pure world green lotus was in Yuan's space. It was only a matter of time before the god of turbidity was destroyed. He didn't expect it to be so soon. It is definitely good news to eliminate a big hidden danger in the cultivation world. The big stone weighing on Mujukin's heart also fell. After all, if Zhou Shen escapes, the world of cultivation will face another disaster. When mutated creatures take the opportunity to attack, human beings may become extinct. How long are you going to stay here? Yuan asked. They should be guarding until those mutated creatures attack again. Mujukin is very sure that, except for those outside the God Emperor realm who do not guard for a long time, those who are guarding them have to take turns to rest. Go practice. This is a plan for long-term protection. Yuan nodded. Okay, then you stay and be careful. Those mutated creatures have recovered half of their sanity and know how to fight in a roundabout way. Don't relax your defense. They may not come because they think the current defense is strong. Once the defense is relaxed, that's hard to say. Of the mutated creatures she has captured over the years, many have recovered half of their human form, and of course their sanity has also recovered a lot. Mujukin understood this. After the two of them made soy sauce, Yuan talked about the twins again and talked about grabbing their luck. Mujukin didn't know what the Mishi Qinglian needed these for, and ancestor Suzaku had no memory of this. Then be careful. Mujukin could only tell Yuan. Well, I will be careful. I feel that this matter is not simple. You should also be careful. Our family's luck is not bad, and we are all his targets. Yuan returned to the Wuxia realm after leaving the aura of world-destroying Qinglian on Mujukin. She never expected that just because she left the aura of the world-destroying Green Lotus for Mujukin, she actually saved his life. It was also during Mujukin's tenure that among a group of them, Mujukin felt that the aura on one of them was very familiar, which reminded him of the aura of the world-destroying Green Lotus that Yuan left for him. When he looked into the other person's eyes, he saw that the other person was paying attention to him, so Mujukin immediately found an excuse to leave, and then entered the demon suppression tower to escape the world-destroying Qinglian. The level of the demon suppression tower is much higher than that of Yuan's star space. No matter how he searched for Shishi Qinglian, he could not find Mujukin. After Yuan returned to Wuxia realm, she first went to Tianyan, told them about the world-destroying Qinglian, and asked them to remember the breath of the world-destroying Qinglian, and then went to Mingqi to ask Tiandao. Everyone in the sect pays attention. Unexpectedly, he ran into Ming Ao and his son in Mingqi Palace. When Ming Ao and his son saw it was her, they looked as if they wanted to eat Yuan. They didn't care that Mingqi was still here. How much do you hate her? Yuan didn't even know where their hostility came from. Shouldn't it be that she hated them and wanted to kill them? Ming Ao, do you want to go to the battlefield outside the territory again? Mingqi shouted immediately. This son gave him a real headache. Throwing him to the battlefield outside the territory not only did not let him let go of the hatred in his heart, but made the hatred in his heart deepen. Ming Ao looked at Yuan coldly and said disdainfully, "Father can throw his son wherever he wants. It doesn't matter to him. In your eyes, my son has never fallen in love with you. Now he doesn't even have a great-granddaughter. They are all more important than my own son." He never expected that his father would pass on the title of head of Tiandao sect to Yuan. The funny thing is that it is not uncommon for others. This is like something he treasures is so precious, but in the eyes of others, it is just garbage. The position of suzerain that he had obtained by every possible means was abandoned by others. How ironic. It's simply unreasonable. Mingqi was so angry that his liver ached. This traitor still wanted to throw him away wherever he wanted. Did he think he was really invincible based on his cultivation in the God Emperor realm? It is not impossible for Yuan to take the lives of their father and son, but taking Yuan's life is simply a dream. He is protecting him. My son will not please you. There is no room for us father and son here. We, father and son, just need to leave, Ming Ao said and pulled Tianya up to leave. Yuan frowned and looked at the sad Mingqi. Ming Ao was really stubborn and stupid. Wait a moment. She opened her mouth to call Ming Ao and his son. Ming Ao turned around and looked at her coldly. What, you want to settle a score with me? With your strength, you don't even hold a mirror to look at yourself. Yuan said calmly, you really don't know that there are people outside the world. Don't you know that my great-grandfather threw you to the battlefield outside the territory to protect you? You are really like a dog biting Lu Dongbin and don't know a good heart. My father's heart has been fed to the dog. Do you think you can really kill me with your cultivation at the God Emperor level? Can you really win my astral body and my star art? What did you say? Ming Ao turned away from Tianya, walked to Yuan, and stared at her. What did she say? Saying that he doesn't know that there is heaven outside the sky and there are people outside the world? Say he doesn't understand the heart of a loving father who never dies? Said he couldn't take her astral body, Starju? Isn't this a joke? If the old man hadn't stopped him, he wouldn't have done it? What a shameless statement. If a man is not bold, he is not cowardly. Isn't this a clear provocation to him? End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 854. Chapter 854. Ming Ao was so angry that he vomited blood. Didn't you hear clearly what I said? You are really a selfish and stupid idiot. It is a pity for my great-grandfather's loving father. Although you and my grandfather are from the same mother, your two characters are simply it's just a world of difference. Don't blame others for looking down on you. Yuan scolded me unceremoniously. He is such an idiot and should be taught a lesson. If it weren't for Ming Chi's sake, these two idiots would have been thrown into prison long ago. All we could do was scold them to get over their addiction first and relieve the hatred in their hearts. Why do you say that? He is also your second grandfather after all. Tianya stepped in front of Yuan and scolded Yuan angrily. Yuan snorted coldly, I can't afford this kind of second grandfather, and you? You injured my father and imprisoned him, kidnapped my mother, and wanted to take away my astral body. Between us, the debt has not yet been settled, and you jumped out on your own. Do you think I can't do anything to you even though my great-grandfather is here? You'd better shut up. Tianya's eyes twitched, he glanced at Minky who said nothing, and said with a guilty conscience, Didn't you imprison my daughter in the same way? Yuan glanced at this coward, don't you have any idea about imprisoning your daughter? If she didn't arrest me for no reason when I was in the lower world, I would imprison her instead. If I don't have the ability to resist, do you think I am now? Dead or alive? Tianya was speechless at the rebuke, and in his heart he blamed Ziyuan for being so misbehaving. Mingzi patriarch almost became a useless person when he took Mingzin and Ziyuan to the battlefield outside the territory. As long as she is cured, her cultivation will always stop at the level where the God King cannot make any progress. Fortunately, the God Man's lifespan is infinite. As long as she no longer seeks death, she can still live for a long time. Seeing that they were silent, Yuan continued to curse, look at the good deeds you have done, one by one, and which one was done by human beings. It is impossible for us monks not to have human blood on our hands, then whose blood is on your hands? After all, we are your relatives, but your claws are actually reaching out to your relatives. How can we bother you and deliberately kill us? Do you have any humanity at all? What's the difference between you and that mutated creature? Yuan simply pointed at the noses of the two of them and scolded them. She was still angry. She looked at Ming Ao who was about to explode and said, especially you, I don't know what you have been fighting for all your life and what you are aiming for. In the end, you are just you, father and son, are left fighting for loneliness. Are you thinking in your heart that we don't care about what you work so hard to get? Do you have a sense of frustration? Do you feel like a failure? And you actually vented this feeling of failure on your own father. If you were a piece of trash like you and were my son, I would slap you to death and leave you alone, and sooner or later you will cause another big disaster. Ming-Chi sat on it and watched Yuan curse. He felt comfortable listening to her curse. These two boys should have cursed like this a long time ago. He really couldn't curse as a man. Wow wow wow. After Yuan finished speaking, Ming Ao was so angry that he vomited out a lot of blood. You stinky girl. Ming Ao pointed at Yuan with a trembling hand. Yuan raised her eyebrows and said, What I said is wrong. Come back if you don't accept the scolding, or come and fight if you don't accept it. Ming Ao looked up to the sky and spit out another mouthful of old blood. God. He didn't know that this girl's curses were so irritating. He didn't do many good things. He killed his brother and kidnapped his sister-in-law, even his nieces and nephews. How could he do such a thing that was worse than a beast? Ming Ao is a little doubtful about life. When Ming Ao looked at Yuan, he seemed to see countless Yuans wandering in front of him. He wanted to scold him back, but how? Then fight, but he seems to have no strength left. Ming Ao felt his eyes go dark. Tianya immediately took Ming Ao. He looked at Ming Ao in disbelief. His father was actually so angry that he fainted from the smelly girl. How is this possible? Go back without taking them, you are a disgrace. Ming-Chi waved Ming Ao and his son out of the hall, then looked at Yuan with a smile. Girl, this scolding skill is really amazing, you are a majestic god. It's really strange that I was stunned by you scolding me. This is my first time seeing you. Yuan laughed dryly. She didn't know why Ming Ao didn't scold him so easily. He was very thick-skinned. Yuan still felt a little confused and said, Who allowed them to do all the bad things? If it weren't for your great-grandfather's sake, they and their son would have died long ago. It is really unkind for such people to be left in the world. This girl was not forgiving. He shook his head and poked Yuan's forehead lovingly. Oh. Forget it, they deserve this. By the way, girl, you won't just look at the old man when you come back. Are they okay? Mingzi Patriarch and others. Of course I came back specifically to see you. The ancestor of Mingzi Qinfeng is fine. After saying this, Yuan threw a jade slip to Ming-Chi and told him about the destruction of Qinglian. Me, the world-destroying green lotus. Ming-Chi was horrified. He quickly looked into the jade slip to remember the aura of the world-destroying green lotus. The 4 legendary green lotuses. How come the world doesn't know that one green lotus can be made into a peerless artifact, but it is almost impossible to find these 4 green lotuses. From ancient times to the present, everyone has only seen their actions. Cannot see the real thing. Ming-Chi was shocked again after being shocked. He didn't expect that this interstellar world would not exist for long, and it was the legendary world-destroying Qinglian who was responsible. Everyone only knows that the ancient gods damaged the energy ball, and the creatures from outside the territory want to invade the cultivation world. Then what are you going to do, girl? Yuan said helplessly, it depends on how well the creation green lotus and the pure world green lotus recover. If they recover, it's time to seal the world-destroying green lotus or destroy him. This star will be preserved and they won't have time to recover, this star is just waiting to be destroyed. Ming-Chi let out a long sigh after hearing this, and also sighed in his heart, so what if he cultivates to become a god, and his life is infinite, there is nothing it can do when encountering interstellar destruction. Ming-Chi suddenly thought about why Yatiou never came to trouble Ming Ao and his son. In fact, it didn't matter whether they were killed or not. When the star was destroyed, Yatiou would never take their father and son with him. If destruction follows, why waste divine power on dealing with them? Tiandao sect also has a life space, but they have no boundary gate. They can only stay in the life space forever. The life space cannot be used endlessly. When the energy is exhausted, the life space will be destroyed. At that time, they will be waiting for them. Is still a dead word. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 855. Chapter 855 Goodbye 10,000 Buddhas. But the girl is different. She has a boundary gate and a life space. It is a very advanced life space. They still have a chance of survival. Ming Chi let out a long sigh when he thought of this, and suddenly realized that all the people in the world fighting for fame, wealth, and cultivation resources ended up in vain. Yuan looked at Ming Chi's expression and understood what he meant. Indeed, no matter whether the star is destroyed or not, and whether mutant creatures come or not, she will not lend a helping hand to Ming Ao and his son. She will only applaud them when they die. Ming Ao and his son should have died long ago. They are sons who were born well and born brightly. Otherwise, Great-grandfather, where has to go, please take care of yourself. Yuan interrupted Ming Chi's meditation and said. Minky nodded, okay, you have to be careful outside. Yes, see you, great-grandfather. After saying this, Yuan entered the space and went to various places to see. After nothing happened, she came to the 10,000 Buddhist temple. Yuan stood in front of the 10,000 Buddhist temple. This place was no longer a desert, but a temple full of incense. Many Buddhist cultivators are active in the temple. They look leisurely, as if they are isolated from the people outside. Wanfu, who was meditating in the temple, suddenly saw a figure in his consciousness. His eyes moved slightly, and he was dull for a moment, and then he flashed in front of Yuan. Amitabha, the donor is well and well. 10,000 Buddhas proclaimed the name of the Buddha. Long time no see, the holy monk. Yuan looked at the increasingly mysterious 10,000 Buddhas, who had not been seen for a while, and his strength became stronger again. 10,000 Buddhas smiled, yes, long time no see. Is the donor here for sightseeing or should we go to the temple for a chat? When friends meet, they must talk to each other. Let the holy monk lead the way. Donor please, he said. Wan Buddha waved his hand, and the two of them arrived at his temple in an instant. In the Buddhist hall, two people sat opposite each other. Why did you think of me coming here? Wan Buddha asked. I was passing by and came to see you. I didn't expect that your environment here is so peaceful. A great monk can live a good life. The donor was joking. The days of Buddhist practice are so pure. If the donor likes it, the poor monk is always waiting for you. Tch, let's forget it. When I see your bald heads, my forehead hurts. I am not clean and cannot be a nun. Alas. I still want to turn you over, but there is no way. Tell me, why are you looking for a poor monk again? You are someone who doesn't go to the Three Treasures Hall for anything. What's the hurry? My old friend didn't even have a cup of tea, so he's not as stingy as you. Wanfo's mouth twitched. He didn't have any good tea. She knew that she had enlightenment tea, but she still called him stingy. His tea leaves are still afraid that she will dislike them. Oh, forget it, just drink from me. Yuan took out a can of tea from the space and threw it to Wan Buddha. Wanfo immediately caught it. When he looked at the tea leaves, his calm face suddenly beamed with joy. As if he had obtained some unique treasure, he quickly put it away. Yuan was surprised. You don't know how to put it away, do you? Otherwise, if you have so much, I will only give you one can, without even mentioning more. Still a stingy great monk. Yu shook his head, took out another jar from the space, brewed it himself, and then poured a cup for 10,000 Buddhas. Wanfo took it up and drank it as a matter of course, and thought about it. What a good tea. I haven't tasted this tea for a long time. I miss it very much. Missing her tea, missing her people, and seeing her people are right in front of him, but he still can't help but feel calm. 10,000 Buddhas sighed in their hearts. This woman is a seductress who only seduces his soul and captures his soul. I don't have much, so I'll save some. It seemed like a lot, and 1 can was given to each person, but the 2 enlightenment tea trees were not enough for her to pick. Okay, Wanfo responded simply. He understood that after this meeting, he didn't know when he would be able to see him again. Naturally, he had to save his drink. The best thing was not to drink it and save it for thoughts. Think. Yuan didn't know what Wanfo was thinking. After drinking a cup of tea, she took out the jade slip and threw it to him. Wanfo picked up the jade slip and asked, "What kind of treasure is it? Give it to me." "He is not a treasure. There is the aura of the world-destroying green lotus in it. Remember this aura and be careful in the future. People with such aura must not get close to them. They must stay away. You can kill them. This is the world-destroying lotus. Kinglian split soul is used by monks who seize the body to attract people's luck." Yuan finished speaking in one breath. "Destroy the world's green lotus? Inhale luck." 10,000 Buddhas took a breath after hearing this. Please also ask the donor to tell the poor monk about the matter. They Buddhist practitioners understand the concept of luck. Once a person's luck is sucked away, he will be unlucky. He will choke to death if he drinks water, which is no different from directly killing him. And it is also the world-destroying green lotus. There is a saying in the Buddhist scriptures, once the world-destroying green lotus appears, the end of the world will come. Yuan was too lazy to say anything, so she burned all the things about the destruction of the interstellar into jade slips and threw them to Wanfu. 10,000 Buddhas immediately started to read it. After reading it, he was shocked and pale. "Is this true? Has the donor confirmed it?" Yuan nodded. "Why else would I come to you? At least we are friends. Let me remind you and you can do your own defense." "Amitabha, thank you so much for the donor." 10,000 Buddhas clasped their hands together and expressed their thanks. Yuan waved her hand. She originally wanted to tell him about the green lotus of creation and the green lotus of pure world in her space. However, considering that Wan Buddha once wanted to get the green lotus of creation, she still didn't tell him. They haven't talked about everything yet. He was not told about Zhou Shen. If one day he found out about it, he couldn't say it was her fault. There are many powerful and omnipotent people in this world. Wanfo asked some more about mutated creatures, and Yuan told him all. Yuan did not hold anything back and told Wanfo everything he knew. After Yuan finished speaking, she left without stopping. After Yuan left, Wanfo immediately made arrangements. In particular, those Buddhist cultivators with particularly good luck gathered together and told them not to leave Wanfo temple. As Yuan said, "I don't know why Miashi Qinglian wants to absorb the monk's luck, but he must not be allowed to succeed. No one knows what things he will do. Before the star is destroyed, anything can happen. Maybe the star is repaired, or the inner world Qinglian is destroyed." After everything was arranged, 10,000 Buddhas tore open the space and entered. He wanted to try his luck and see if he could touch the world-destroying green lotus that Yuan said. His Buddha's light could naturally restrain the world-destroying green lotus. Although he is not as powerful as pure world green lotus, he still has the ability to protect himself in front of world-destroying green lotus. Yuan didn't know that Wan Buddha went to find the world-destroying Qinglian alone. She found the planet where the demon cultivator was from the world gate. She came here to get the mutant creature's nest from the demon cultivator, and to try her luck to see if she could encounter the world-destroying Qinglian. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 856. Chapter 856 Demon World. Of course, there is also the question of whether it is true that mutated creatures dare not go to the planet where demons are cultivated. Mutated creatures are afraid of the demonic energy. Yuan believes that seeing is believing. She saw many waste stars in this interstellar world. Judging from the remaining power, there were also demonic planets. She thought there should be some power that could scare mutant creatures. If there are, we must get some back to the Wuxia realm and Tongxian realm, and let the great gods refine them into artifacts to protect the cultivation world. Yuan felt that she was just an old woman who couldn't take care of herself. She had lost a lot of brain cells in order for the interstellar to be peaceful and exist forever. Hey, who told her to have the world gate and the heart of a virgin? Can't bear to see the people she cares about being harmed. Yuan came to the planet where the demon cultivator practiced magic skills before. She went around and found that someone had been here since she left, and the mist inside was restored to its original state, but the pool was still the same as before. Yuan looked and saw no one, so she asked Xiaojia to look for the demon world. She believed that the demon world should not be far from this planet. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Xiaojia to be found, and Yuan immediately came to the planet. Just when she arrived on the planet, she saw a large number of mutated creatures attacking the planet. Yuan was curious, didn't the demon cultivator say that mutated creatures did not dare to attack the demon world? Why were there so many of them here? She had been searching hard for these mutated creatures before but could not find them, but there were so many here. And most of them have recovered half of their humanoid form. 80% of these are coming back from Tongxian realm, so Yuan will catch them all this time. It is impossible to catch them all. Yuan did not rush to collect these mutated creatures. Instead, she hid and watched to see how these demon cultivators dealt with the mutated creatures. Let's also see if these mutated creatures are afraid of evil spirits. The demon world is indeed a demon world. This planet is filled with strong demonic energy, but those mutated creatures don't seem to be afraid of the demonic energy. They rush into the planet and have close contact with the demonic energy. Yuan looked carefully. When the mutated creatures rushed into the strong demonic aura, there was nothing strange about the mutated creatures, which showed that they were not afraid of the demonic aura. At this time, the mutated creature was seen extending its long tentacles. The stretched out tentacles were like long soft thorns, stabbing at the opposite demon cultivator at an extremely fast speed. And each demon cultivator who was more than 10 feet tall took a magic weapon, and the magic weapon was glowing with black demonic energy. When the mutant creature's tentacles attacked, the demon cultivator did not attack at all, but used his hand to the magic weapon inside turned into defensive magic energy and stood in front of him. When the tentacles attacked, they attacked the magic weapon, and the tentacles retracted suddenly, as if they were injured. Yuan's consciousness looked carefully and followed the tentacles. At this time, the retracted tentacles seemed to be burnt. Not long after, the mutated creature's entire body turned black, it twitched a few times and then fell to the ground dead. Huh? So simple, Yuan's jaw dropped when she saw this scene. These locust-like mutated creatures were really vulnerable to the demonic cultivators. Yuan is sure that these mutated creatures are not afraid of grinding qi, but are the magic weapons in the hands of demon cultivators. There must be something in this magic weapon that mutated creatures cannot touch, something like thunder power, but it is not. Thunder power is the nemesis of demon cultivators, so Yuan is very sure that it is not something with thunder attributes. Yuan decided to get a batch of them back to study. Of course, he would definitely get a batch of magic weapons here first. Although the demonic cultivators have an advantage, there are so many mutated creatures that they cannot resist. They attack the demonic cultivators as if they are desperate. Many demonic cultivators have been killed by the mutated creatures on the battlefield. Yuan saw that the mutated creature's attack was so fierce, it seemed to be unstoppable. At this time, a demon cultivator on the other side shouted, "Don't hold on, if you can't beat them, run away. The demon will be here soon, and he must make these ugly things look good. Yes, just hold on for a while and save your lives to avenge our devils." These ugly things actually killed our devils. Devil, when Yuan heard these two words, she suddenly felt that the demon cultivator she killed was the demon cultivator. The demon cultivator said before he died that his father was a demon god. If true, she really is. Neither of these two parties are good birds. It is best for both sides to fight and lose, because she can easily pick up the slack. At this time, there were a lot of corpses from both sides that had fallen on the battlefield. Yuan's eyes became hot when she saw them. She flashed into the space and with a movement of her consciousness, she collected all the corpses into the space. The corpses of the demonic cultivators and mutated creatures were thrown into the red earth, and the weapons were put away. When Yuan saw the creation green lotus and the purifying green lotus, she thought about showing them the magic weapon later to see if they could identify any differences in the weapon. There is also the demonic energy in the magic weapon, which needs to be purified by the pure world green lotus before it can be used by the monks in the Tongxian realm and the five-axis realm. Outside, the two parties who were fighting suddenly saw the corpses on both sides of the ground disappear out of thin air. The demon cultivators suddenly stepped back to see what was going on. Unexpectedly, the mutated creatures took the opportunity to attack fiercely. The demon cultivators suddenly retreated. A lot of magic cultivators were lost and fell to pieces. Just as soon as it fell down, it suddenly disappeared out of thin air. The mutated creatures seemed to have been beaten to death. They were not like before, knocking down a monk and then devouring it. This time, they seemed to have no interest in the corpse of the demon cultivator. They only knew how to attack, just like a murderer. Machine. The demonic cultivators were retreating steadily. Don't be affected. It must be the trick of these ugly things. Let's focus on dealing with it, someone among the demon cultivators shouted. The demon cultivators just woke up from a dream, picked up the grinding tools and fought with the mutated creatures again. Yuan was so happy in the space. She collected those corpses, and someone came up with a reason for her. It was so understanding. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. Not long after, the demon from Xiu's side arrived. He waved a magic weapon, and a barrier was remembered between the two parties. The mutated creatures could no longer cross this barrier and had to stop. Watching with eager eyes. Please come out, your leader, the demon shouted. A human figure suddenly appeared over the mutated creature. Yuan looked at this man. He had completely returned to his human form, and there was no trace of any mutation. He glared at the demon god angrily, "Hand over my son, or I will crush your demon world." Huh? This person is speaking the language of the cultivation world, not the interstellar language. Yuan was greatly surprised, and the mutant could actually understand the interstellar language spoken by the demon. The demon god sneered, "You killed this demon god's son, and this demon god kidnapped your son, so we are even." Mutant, you mean you won't return the son of God? End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 857. Chapter 857, Fight to the Death. Demon God, unless you can return the son of this demon god in his entirety, if not, we will fight to the death. Mutant, okay, let's see who among us can have the last laugh. The mutants asked, and no mutant creature has ever seen the son of the devil, let alone eaten it. Mutated creatures and the demon world have always been at odds with each other. I don't know what the devil did this time. He actually claimed that his son was devoured by their mutated creatures and abducted his son because of this. I really thought that these mutated creatures were easy to bully. They were once human beings, so how could they be so arrogant? The two parties remained in a stalemate without reaching a conclusion. The mutated creatures took action again soon. The mutants sent powerful mutated creatures to attack the barrier non-stop. But the barrier was like the grinding tools used by the demon cultivators before. As long as the mutated creatures touched the barrier, their whole bodies would turn black and they would fall to the ground and die. After being unable to attack for a long time and suffering heavy losses, the mutated creatures stopped. Yuan saw that the war had ceased, so she collected the corpses of the mutated creatures and found Jingxi Qinglian. She threw a magic weapon to Jingxi Qinglian. "You too, see what is in this magic weapon that caused the mutated creature to die if it touched it." Everything outside can be seen clearly by good fortune Qinglian and Jingxi Qinglian. Jingxi Qinglian nodded, "Then wait a moment, I have to take a closer look." "Good." Yuan responded and waited aside. Within half a stick of incense, Jingxi Qinglian had the results. She took the magic weapon to Yuan and said, "This magic weapon contains a kind of ore, a mutated ore. The power in the ore radiates out, especially it's like a poisonous gas that will kill mutated creatures immediately as soon as it touches them." "Is that so? Can it be used by monks?" Yuan asked. "Mutated creatures are poisonous to death, so monks can't use it. It would be a shame if that were the case." She wanted to get more back. Jingxi Qinglian patted her and said, "It can be used with high-level gods. Low-level ones are afraid that they will be poisoned if they get it and can't resist it. High-level ones can resist it." "I understand, then purify the demonic energy in that pile, and I will collect it later." Yuan pointed at the pile of magic weapons and said. "You really think we are your coolies?" Creation Qinglian curled her lips and said. Yuan glanced at him, "I have supported you for so long, and if you are asked to do something, you will chatter. If you don't want to do it, then get out of here." Creation Qinglian's aura erupted and he said fiercely, "Believe it or not, I will kill you. You are not the only person in this world who can help us recover. There are many people who can be used by us. In fact, we don't need to find anyone. I'll kill you. With this world gate, we can find resources ourselves, and we won't need you at all, so you'd better not be arrogant in front of me." Yuan's eyes narrowed. She was really angry at this person who was seeking death. She kicked the creation Qinglian out and said fiercely, "Kill me now if you have the ability." I raised one white-eyed wolf, "If I had known you were like this, I would rather have you stay in the demon suppression tower for the rest of your life." Yuan has long disliked this poor child. She only knows how to exploit her labor force and does it so naturally. She doesn't owe them anything. This planet can't be destroyed. It doesn't affect them anyway. They are dead. No. Love can never be destroyed. I no longer want to serve you. She looked at Jingxi Qinglian and prepared to kick her out together. "Don't be angry, don't be angry. He has always been like that. He can't control his words. In fact, he has never done anything bad. Move him in quickly. Someone will see him later and arrest him. It would be troublesome to go." Jingxi Qinglian saw that something was wrong, so she quickly came over to persuade Yuan, patted her on the back, and immediately injected a divine power into her body. As soon as the divine power entered her body, Yuan immediately calmed down. She looked at Jingxi Qing, and then at the creation green lotus floating in the starry sky. She moved him in with her consciousness. The creation Qinglian who was moved in glared at Yuan angrily. This woman kicked him whenever she asked. Didn't he just say angry words to make her angry? Who would really kill her? Yuan rolled her eyes at him, "Don't look at me like this. If you dare to talk nonsense in front of me again, be careful that you can't eat and walk around. To tell you the truth, whether you recover or not has no impact on us in this star. We sealed you before the demon suppression tower is a completely independent world of cultivation. I think that after you two recover, you can repair this star for the sake of other people in the cultivation world, not for yourself. Do you understand, little brat?" Yuan also reached out and patted his face. "You woman." Before Zexuan Qinglian finished speaking, Jingxi Qinglian covered his mouth and held him aside. After admonishing him, he came back and asked Yuan, Tell me what happened to the demon suppression tower. Jingxi Qinglian is very curious. She has never seen such a strange space. Yuan said to Qinglian, he knows best. He has been sealed inside for a long time. Ask him. Jingxi Qinglian immediately went to ask Creation Qinglian. Zai Zhao Qinglian glared at Yuan, that was his dark history. This woman said it like this. Jingxi Qinglian didn't know how to laugh at him in the future. But he couldn't stand Jingxi Qinglian's cross-examination, so he told Jingxi Qinglian everything. After hearing this, Jingxi Qinglian scolded him, then you really shouldn't act like a bully like this. Zai Wei is really kind-hearted. You have to change your bad temper. Not everyone can tolerate it yours. If Zai Wei doesn't want to restore the star, there's really nothing we can do to her, so hurry up and apologize. Yuan's space is currently the most suitable for them, and she can get their restored divine power. This Creation Qinglian is like a fool, always likes to go against others. Creation Qinglian nodded, came to Yuan coquettishly, bowed deeply to Yuan, and then said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, it was just an angry word to you. Ever since I became conscious, I have no one was killed. Zaiwa Qinglian apologized, and Yuan's anger subsided. She stretched out her hand to pinch Zaiwa Qinglian's angry mouth. Don't talk to me like this in the future. Next time, I will definitely throw you out. Let you never recover, let you watch this interstellar destruction. She is not trying to scare him, she can really do it. Zai Zhao Qinglian nodded honestly this time. Yuan felt better now. She should have lost her temper a long time ago, and it was so annoying to have such a little brat climb on top of her and dominate her. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 858. Chapter 858 Stealing Mines. With the mutant ore confirmed by Jingxi Qinglian, Yuan immediately asked Xiaja to search for it on the planet. Master, look, a voice suddenly came from Xiaja. Yuan immediately checked with his consciousness and saw the tallest black mountain opposite the boundary gate. There were many demon cultivators digging and mining under the black mountain. I think this is the mutated mine that comes here. Xiaja, can you go in and take a look? Thinking of the power of the mutated ore, Yuan asked Xiaja. After all, Xiaja is not omnipotent, she is just the weapon spirit of the realm gate. Xiaja, no, the aura is too strong. It feels like I'm going to faint when I get close to it. Okay, Yuan had to give up temporarily. Sure enough. Yuan thought for a while, her weak cultivation level couldn't do it, and she had to go back to bring in reinforcements, so she hurried back to Tongxian realm and found Qin Feng. Qin Feng is strong and good at refining weapons, so he is the only one. Yuan told Qin Feng what she had discovered, and Qin Feng couldn't wait to see it. He said, girl, take the ancestor with you quickly. The thing that the ancestor is not afraid of the most is the demonic energy, and the least afraid of the demonic cultivator. He has a special magic, the magic of transforming demons to restrain demons, so he is not afraid. Yuanxin thought that she had really found the right person. Yuan took him into space and brought him to the devil world. The two of them stood on the big mountain holding their breath. Ancestor, look, there is a mutated ore in this big mountain. Do you think you can get some of it away and take it back to refine some defensive artifacts for defense? It is much easier to defend with artifacts than to use monks to defend. Yuan pointed to the foot of the mountain and said, she also wanted Mujukan to step away and do his own thing. Standing on the mountain, you can see the situation below the mountain without using your spiritual consciousness. Qin Feng said, well, ancestor knows, it is indeed an unknown power. If it is indeed fatal to the mutated creature, the ancestor will risk his life to move these treasures back. The Tongxian world needs such treasures so much. Since the last attack by mutated creatures, everyone in Tongxian realm has been fighting. The Luo tribe is okay. With his space to protect them, there are still few dead or injured tribesmen. Other small cultivating families, sects, and casual cultivators suffered heavy casualties in that fierce battle. Now, whenever they hear about mutated creatures, they become very sensitive and ask the Lord God to find a way. The Lord God naturally assigned all the tasks to the four ancestors, but no matter how gods they were, the mutated creatures were too evil. They could kill those mutated creatures, but the number was too small. The more we fight, the stronger we become. They only have four ancestors, and even if their various sects and major families spontaneously organize powerful godmen teams, their combined number is less than tens of thousands. Those with low cultivation level would not consider letting them defend or go to the battlefield at all. If they do, they will die. Moreover, the Tongxian realm is so big that if one person is in charge of the area, tens of thousands of people are still not enough. What's more, everyone also shoulders the responsibilities of their own family or sect, and they are all busy. If you have this thing, you can refine a large number of defensive shields, or refine a defensive formation to cover the entire Tongxian, so that mutant creatures cannot attack. Also, attacking this defensive shield can make mutant creatures invading die. This is simply a good thing that kills two birds with one stone. Qin Feng looked at the mutated ores with stars in his eyes. Girl, you are here to support the ancestor, and we will leave as soon as the ancestor comes up. Qin Feng planned to go directly and steal. Yes, it was stealing. In front of so many demon cultivators, he did not dare to steal it blatantly. Although he is not afraid of demonic cultivators, those demonic cultivators are not jealous either. Just wear an invisibility cloak and go in to steal. Fortunately, when I refined the magical clothes for the girl last time, I withheld a lot of materials. Yuan nodded. Okay, ancestor, you can send me the message as soon as you come out. As soon as Yuan finished speaking, she saw Qin Feng disappearing on the top of the mountain. Yuan opened her eyes and followed Qin Feng. Qin Feng came to the bottom of the mountain and entered the mine in a flash. The busy demon cultivators never imagined that someone would enter the mine so openly under their noses. Entering the mine, Qin Feng stopped and listened to the demon cultivators for a while. The interstellar language they spoke was naturally understandable to an old antique like Qin Feng. While listening, he entered the mine tunnel. In the mine tunnel, the mutated aura was very strong. If he hadn't been strong, he might not be able to resist the aura and be poisoned to death. Qin Fengton is indeed a good thing. Fortunately, the girl didn't come down. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to get any favors if she came down. Qin Feng was walking and searching, and found a mine tunnel with a particularly strong smell. He ducked in and walked straight inside. The smell inside was so strong that he couldn't bear it. He had to take a breath in the space while walking, and then he barely reached the bottom of the cave. There are several demon cultivators mining here, and the sound of clanging can be heard endlessly. Thinking that he could not kill these demonic cultivators, Qin Feng immediately retreated and started looking again. After a long time, Qin Feng found a mine without magic repair. He looked at the dark mine. The rich and frightening aura from the mine made his heart tremble. That's it? Qin Feng immediately set up a formation to prevent the movement here from disturbing the demon cultivators outside. After setting up the formation, he summoned a divine sword and struck it on the dark ore. But when the sword was struck, the divine sword was destroyed, but the ore did not move at all, and not a single piece was cut off. Qin Feng frowned and looked at it, then immediately came out of the formation, turned around and walked out of the mine. He came to a mine tunnel where a demon cultivator was mining, and saw the mining pick in the demon cultivator's hand. Qin Feng's eyes flashed. That's it? It's just that there are a lot of demon cultivators here, so it's easy to kill them, for fear of causing panic and ruining his big event. Qin Feng had no choice but to give up the magic cultivator in this mine and find a new mine with fewer people. After searching countless times, I finally found that there were only 2 demon cultivators in the mine. The strength of these 2 demon cultivators was much lower than his, almost the same as the girl's. Qin Feng quickly killed the 2 of them, fought for their mining picks, and quickly returned to the original mine. This time he swung the mining pick and dug it in. Sure enough, the ore that even the divine sword couldn't cut was dug out by the mining pick like cutting tofu. Qin Feng didn't dare to look and touch it with his hands, so he immediately used a brand new space ring to pack up all the ores. Since then, he has been working as a miner here. Yuan waited at the top of the mountain for 10 years before Qin Feng came out. "Girl, let's go quickly." As soon as Qin Feng came out, he shouted Yuan. Yuan looked up and saw a large group of demon cultivators following Qin Feng. They shouted and chased Qin Feng, and kept attacking him. So it turned out that Yuan immediately put Qin Feng into the space and returned to the Tongxian realm. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 859. Chapter 859 Can't Go Back. Yuan moved Qin Feng out of the Luo clan area. Looking at the embarrassed Qin Feng, Yuan smiled and asked, "Has the ancestor been discovered?" The great powers in the divine realm also have times when they are embarrassed. Qin Feng nodded, "Yes, only 1/10 of the mine has been dug. It's a pity that the ore is there. There should be no chance to dig it again now." It turns out that Qin Feng just immersed himself in digging, and the formation needed to add divine stones regularly. The formation used in the divine world consumes more divine stones in places with strong demonic aura, and in places with strong mutation aura, it consumes even more divine stones. He didn't know when the formation stopped operating, so he was exposed. A demon cultivator heard something going on inside and ran in to take a look. He saw a human cultivator working hard inside. He immediately started fighting with Qin Feng without saying a word. "The quality of the ore in this mine is too high and difficult to dig, so I put it here for later digging. Furthermore, the demon world now needs a large amount of this ore, and digging this mine will affect the demand." How could that demon cultivator beat Qin Feng? He was killed by Qin Feng in 3 strikes. However, it also stirred up a hornet's nest and more demon cultivators rushed over. Qin Feng had no choice but to escape. "Girl, you don't have to worry about me now that it's safe. You can make your own arrangements, ancestor. I'm going to start refining the artifact." As soon as Qin Feng finished his speech, he immediately drove people away. Yuan twitched her lips. "This ancestor is really... Well, I will also want one when the time comes." After Yuan said that he would get the magic weapon from the magic cultivator, leaving a few behind and giving them to Qin Feng. Qin Feng smiled happily when he saw so many magic weapons and nodded repeatedly, "Okay, 10 pieces are fine." He put away the magic weapon and disappeared. With these magic weapons, he can refine defensive artifacts faster. And Yuan returned to the demon realm again and secretly received the mutated creatures guarding outside the demon realm into the space. Yuan guessed that most of the mutated creatures in this interstellar were here, as long as she guarded these mutated creatures. At the same time, she also stepped up her practice and improved her cultivation level. In this way, day after day, year after year, 10,000 years passed, and the mutated creatures finally discovered that something was wrong. Their numbers are decreasing rapidly. A mutant who was almost like a mutant flashed in front of the mutant hurriedly and angrily, "King, our people are disappearing inexplicably. What happened?" It turns out that he is the king of mutated creatures, and he proclaims himself. The mutant king's expression changed and he asked hurriedly. A lot of his people had died in the past few years, but the dead people were all devoured by plant-type people, and they didn't even know that Yuan was harvesting them. Yuan also seized on this and dared to grab the corpses of mutated creatures on the battlefield unscrupulously. There were too many, and their inexplicable disappearance could not attract the attention of mutated creatures without any sense. The mutated human said, "Today, I went on patrol and found that some of our people disappeared out of thin air. There were probably dozens of them. I was very curious, so I stood aside and watched, and found that several of our people disappeared out of thin air one after another." "I'll let you go and have a look," the mutated king said. Yes. The two of them arrived at the place instantly, but they kept watch for several days and nights but did not see any mutated creatures disappear. The mutant scratched his head. "Strange, why is it gone again?" "Mutation King, could it be our people who caused the trouble?" The mutant shook his head. "It's impossible, they don't dare. With him watching, your own people will not attack your own people, let alone eat your own people alive. He controls this very strictly, otherwise things will get messed up. Then send a few more people to watch. If you find anything unusual, tell me immediately. I suspect it's people from the cultivation world. They were once monks, so they naturally understand some of the methods of monks." He absolutely believed what his subordinates said. If the demon god didn't hand over his son, how could he have stayed in the demon realm for 10,000 years? His son was still the son before they mutated, and he was also his only son. The father and son finally recovered their bodies, so they couldn't just keep it unknown. He was kidnapped by the devil for no reason. Good. The conversation between the two people outside was seen by Yuan, and she was shocked to realize that she had been discovered. She just decided to take a break for a while. It happened that the creation Qinglian and Jingxi Qinglian were recovering, and it was time for her to go back to Tongxian realm to have a look. She has been here all these years like a hard-working little bee, and 10,000 years have passed without her realizing it. Yuan was about to return to the Tongxian realm, but she couldn't go back. It turned out that the entire Tongxian realm was covered by a defensive shield. The defensive shield was officially made from the mutated or stolen from the demon realm. Yuan holds her for it. She had no choice but to change her route and return to the Wuxia realm. Fortunately, she didn't go to the Wuxia realm to find someone to go to the demon realm to steal the mutated ore, otherwise she wouldn't even be able to return to the martial arts world. But this is good, those mutated creatures can no longer attack the Tongxian realm. If one day mutated creatures come to the Wuxia realm, people from the Wuxia realm can go from the teleportation array to the battlefield outside the territory, and then teleport from the battlefield outside the territory into the Tongxian realm. This is also a way of escape. But the best thing is to go to the demon realm to steal mutated ores and come back to refine a defensive shield to cover the entire 5-axis realm. This is the ultimate solution to the problem. But I still have to go back and tell Ming Qi about this matter and see who he sends. Just 10,000 years have passed, and I don't know if the defenses on the mine have been relaxed. After Qin Fen was discovered, the demon god immediately took defensive measures. She didn't even know what was going on in the mine. Yuan returned to Tiandao sect, first visited his parents, and then went to Minqi's place. When she arrived, she saw that there were many people in the Tiandao section. She only glanced at those people. They were all disciples of gods and earth gods. Yuan went directly to Minqi Palace. There were 2 disciples standing at the entrance of the palace. When they saw Yuan, the 2 of them stopped her. "Who are you? How can you break into the Tiandao sect privately?" Tiandao sect has a uniform robe, but Yuan did not wear it. She did not answer, but took out a token and gave it to the 2 of them. As soon as the 2 of them saw that it was the token of a direct disciple of the Tiandao sect, they immediately said flatteringly, "I don't know if it's my uncle, please invite me." Yuan glanced at them and went straight into the palace. Her identity token was after she stepped down as the leader of the sect. Ming Qi specially got such a token for her so that she could enter and leave the Tiandao sect at will. In the past, all the disciples of Tiandao sect were outside and no disciples were recruited. She could come and go as she pleased. Yuan entered the palace. There were several people talking about things in the palace. When Ming Qi saw that it was her, he immediately sent the people out without talking about anything. "Girl, why did it take you so long to come back to see this bad old man like me?" Ming Qi asked with a smile. Yuan sat down and looked around the main hall. The main hall was decorated. It was no longer empty as before, but now it was decorated like a divine realm. "Great-grandfather, have you changed a lot?" It should be said that Tiandao sect has changed a lot. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 860. Chapter 860. Things are different now. Now is not what it used to be, and Tiandao sect can't just stick to the old rules, right? The battle on the outer battlefield shocked him extremely, but he didn't know that several powerful families suddenly appeared in the five-axis realm, and they could easily call out many powerful families. And their Tiandao sect has not recruited any disciples in these years. The number of disciples in the sect is getting fewer and fewer, and you can hardly see a few on the battlefield. It is clear whether one is superior or inferior in terms of strength. So after he came back and took care of the affairs of the sect, he immediately replenished the Tiandao sect with fresh blood. Fortunately, we have recruited thousands of good seedlings this time. If we train these thousands of people well, they will definitely be the pillars of Tiandao sect in a million years. Otherwise, if something happens to Tiandao sect in the future, the consequences will be disastrous, and they will definitely be eaten up to the dregs. Fortunately, it can be remedied in time. You felt good after hearing this. She had this idea before, but she was too lazy. She thought that if there was a large sect and she was the only one, she would be asked to recruit people, so she would forget about it. I didn't expect that my great-grandfather still had this kind of consciousness and awareness, which is very good. In a sect, no matter how mysterious you are, no one is without strength, and no matter how mysterious you are, it is useless. Furthermore, after 10,000 years of recovery, the Green Lotus of Creation and Green Lotus of Pure World have recovered very well, at least half of them have recovered. If this continues, they will definitely be able to recover. After they recover, is it still far to repair the star? So she can no longer have the negative thoughts she had before. It doesn't matter how they deal with it, as long as it doesn't hurt her relatives. Now it's different. With hope, she also hopes that Tiandao sect can be passed on for a long time and continue to control the five-axis realm. Yuan doesn't want some force to suddenly appear and take control of the five-axis realm. That would not be a good thing for their family and relatives. They will definitely attack Tiandao sect and Tianyan, or even those related to Tiandao sect. Things related to Tiandao sect are related to her, so if she doesn't want it, she even has to help nip possible things in the cradle. No matter where you are and at any time, you must have absolute power in your hands. If you want to have absolute power, you must have absolute strength. That way no one will dare to try to take your idea. Great-grandfather did this very well for a Zhongzong sect to develop in the long term. It still needs people. Only talented people will have the strength. Ming Qi looked at Yuan appreciatively, nodded and said, "It's a pity that you don't like to meddle in such nosy things, otherwise I would have done a good job if I left it to you." Yuan waved her hand. Wire likes a life of freedom. She doesn't like to be restrained and doesn't like trouble. However, if great-grandfather needs Wire for anything in the future, great-grandfather will just say something. Ming Qi chuckled and said, "What my great-grandfather wants is the word girl. As a errand boy, my great-grandfather only needs to say it. There are some things that I still need Waiter's help with." Yuan knew what Ming Qi meant, and she said, "There is no problem. For the sake of a comfortable life for our whole family, Waiter will not refuse." "Haha, Great-grandfather knew that girl was a good one. Ming-Chi smiled lovingly at Yuan. Fortunately, he had a family of the eldest son, who were like the second son's family. His life was really in vain. In the past, he was an old fool, thinking that they were all his own sons. As long as things were not done too much, he would not intervene. It's different now. He's still pretending to be confused as before. He's afraid that he will really lose his eldest son and his whole family. Fortunately, he pulled back from the brink in time and stopped the second child in time. The eldest brother and the second child's family are all fine. Minky recovered his thoughts. By the way, girl, are you coming back for something this time? Yuan nodded and then said, yes, Wei-er discovered a mutated ore in the demon realm that can resist mutated creatures. 10,000 years ago, Wei-er took ancestor Qin Feng to the demon realm to get the mutated ore. Now Tongxian the world has been defended. Wei-er is coming back this time to discuss with you. Send someone who is not afraid of demonic energy to get some ore back with Wei-er, and refine some defensive artifacts to protect the five-axis world, so that you will not be afraid. One day the mutated creatures will attack. Ming-Chi was overjoyed when he heard this. He spoke with excitement, girl, is there really such a mutated ore? Yes, Wei-er of Tongxian realm can't even pass through the gate now. Otherwise, Wei-er will take you to ask boss Qin Feng. Ha ha ha, that's great, let great-grandpa go with you. Great-grandpa is not afraid of the evil spirit. Ming-Chi simply didn't know what to say. When the monks retreated from the battlefield outside the territory, Qin Feng asked someone to bring back a skill and a demon transforming skill. At that time, he thought that the technique that Patriarch Qin Feng brought back must have profound meaning, so he practiced it immediately. I didn't expect to use it today. His strength has returned to its peak state, so it is most appropriate for him to go. Yuan also smiled in her heart, what a coincidence. Grandparents and grandson did not stay too long. When they were ready, Yuan took Minky to the demon realm, still on the top of the mountain. Great-grandfather, look at the defensive magic weapon below, which is made of the mutated ore. We are watching from here. As long as someone comes in or out, we will follow them in. Okay, let's get ready. This time Yuan also wanted to follow him in. Last time Qin Feng dug alone, he was so immersed in digging that he didn't even find the formation without running. He was afraid that Ming-Chi would make the same problem, so he simply followed in. She is not strong enough, so she can just look at the formation. It just so happens that she can use her own star formation when she enters. Grandparents and grandson guarded for 8 days, and finally saw the defensive shield being opened. At the same time, Ming-Chi rolled Yuan in as fast as lightning. They both wore invisibility cloaks, but there was still a little bit of wind. The magic cultivator who opened the defensive cover felt a ray of cool breeze. He looked at the sky, it was dark, where did the cool breeze come from? He was confused for a moment, and seeing that there was nothing unusual, he secretly made a fuss and walked out of the defensive shield. Yuan entered the mine, took out the mine map that Qin Feng drew for her, and quickly found the mine that he had not finished digging. It's just that this hole is filled with demon cultivators, and they are digging for ore. This. The two of them were stunned, how could they dig it? After the two looked at each other, Yuan led Ming-Chi into the space. Girl, what should we do now, there are so many demon cultivators. Ming-Chi asked with a grimace. It was easy to kill those demon cultivators, but it would definitely attract other demon cultivators. Like Qin Feng last time, they would be hunted down by the demon cultivators. Yuan smiled slyly, what should I do? My great-grandfather looked at it and thought, wouldn't it be better if they help us dig it out? After speaking, Yuan winked at Ming-Chi. End of this chapter.